my mentors, the great Larry Binet. This man is one of the most connected men in America. He happens to be the CEO of SANG, which is Public Speakers and Authors Networking. Their members are literally a who's who of business thought leaders to entertainers to authors, you name it. And it's an honor to have you here today.
Well, I'm glad I could be here.
Larry, you've been a mentor of mine from afar for a while, and I've literally tried to model my entire business networking around your principles. But I know there had to be a time when you didn't have success, where a mentor reached out and helped you. Who are some of your greatest mentors, and how did they help you get to where you are today?
Sure. You know, what's interesting is a lot of the mentors that I've had, whether they've been Tony Robbins to Jay Abraham, the famous marketing strategist, to Les Brown, to Brian Tracy, a lot of them are, these days, have been part of my SANG network, so I've been very blessed to actually meet the mentors. In the beginning, it was, from books, tapes, and CDs, and their events, but, I would say probably one of the greatest influences on me personally has been Tony Robbins. When I've made it and lost it probably more times than I can count, but I always remember I would always read his Awaken the Giant Within book, or I would go to one of his events. And, a couple lessons that I learned was proximity is power, number one. And I'm a big believer, giving is living. So the more you give, the more you get. I find most people tend to be very much in a taker's mindset.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So if you give and you serve and you add value to other people, it's a lot easier to connect. It's a lot easier to build a relationship. And, I think Tony is just a master, not only a master influencer and communicator, but, as a matter of fact, his book just came out on money, and I think he's raising like 50 or 100 million meals for people that need it. So that's really the power of, really giving back in a huge way. So I think he was definitely one of, my early mentors. Jay Abraham, the famous marketing strategist, I go way back with Jay, but one of the things I think he taught me was really how to think outside the box. Most people are very narrow in their thinking, and, he looks at all sorts of ways. Can we improve sales? Can we improve marketing? Can we improve customer relations? And just the way he looks at the world is really different, and it's really fascinating. So I think I've been blessed by his genius on how he views business, how he's able to find profit where maybe profit didn't exist, or find sales, or just different things. And, so those are two guys. I look back early on, Les Brown, the famous motivational speaker, Mark Victor Hansen. I tell you, Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul, when I first met him, I wasn't a famous author, I wasn't a famous speaker. I mean, literally, I was just a normal person at a big book expo with, tens of thousands of people there. So he didn't even know who I was. And literally, I went to this conference in Chicago. I think it was Book Expo America, and I couldn't find like the publicist that I was there to meet. And here it was, I literally couldn't even find a hotel room because everything was so busy. And I remember meeting Mark for the first time, and here it is, he was at the pinnacle of success. I mean, he had like 6 or 7 New York Times best-selling books all at the same time in the top 10 for the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And he was so courteous, so generous, and so nice, and such a charismatic and magnetic personality. And that really, was, a lesson that I took. And so I've always tried to, if I'm just with someone for, a few seconds or a minute or longer, however it is, really try to, connect and be present. Someone that I've also learned from, although more from afar, like Bill Clinton, for example, when he's with someone, he's very present.
Yeah.
And I think, in the world of technology, in the world of social media, we're just going 100 miles an hour. So I think the power of being present is probably one of the greatest gifts that you can give to someone else. And Steve Hardison is another great mentor, who's probably in my opinion, one of the greatest coaches in the world. And I've just learned a lot from him about your personal identity as well as your personal commitment. And, once he shared with me a story once about how he had a client who used to refer to himself as the Lindsay Lohan of the NFL. But when he said, what would happen if you became the best offensive lineman in the NFL? How would you practice? How would you show up? How would you play? And he went from not doing so well to being one of the top offensive linemen in a very short window of time. But those are some of my mentors amongst many.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Definitely I need to work on some of those things right there, for sure. A second question I have is, One of the things I've been really influenced by is your ability to connect with people on the spot. And I know that you have a five-step formula to creating a value connection with literally anyone you want. Would you mind sharing those 5 steps?
Sure. So, number one, it's not B2B, it's not B2C, it's human to human. So if you think about making a authentic personal connection, that's very important. The second thing is after, we connect, find out what's going on in your world. Figure out what's most important to you. And then once you're able to find out what's important, how can you help someone get it? How can you help someone with a resource, an idea, a connection that you might be able to offer up? I'm a big believer, give first, serve first, add value. And then after that is, how do you become a VC? So not necessarily a venture capitalist, but how do you become a value creator? Yeah. And then after you become a value creator, I think it's not good enough just to add value once. I think if you don't stay in touch, and if it's out of sight, out of mind, if you do need something, you want to make sure you have a nice bank, or a piggy bank of relationship capital or connection currency. So the ability to follow up in a systematic way over long periods of time is, in my opinion, very critical. So those are the 5-step formula, I think, to really connect with anyone, anytime, anywhere, with ease and confidence.
Okay, great. Lastly, I'd like to ask for people who are just starting their business networking or taking their business to the next level, if you could distill to one key point that would help you become a value creator, what would that one key point be?
Sure. So I would say start small. I mean, reach out to 1 to 3 people a day in your network. It could be new people in your network if you're just starting out. But really just trying to find out what's going on in their world. What are they most excited about in life? Find out what's most important to them. Could be business, could be personal, could be a charity or a cause.
Sure.
And more than anything else, just figure out what you can do to serve your network. Most people are trying to always take. If you reverse the formula and you're the one that's giving and serving and adding value to some of these most valued relationships, I think it's just a lot easier to get things done. As a matter of fact, I know this interview was scheduled at the last minute, and I'm sure you had some level of relationship capital just to get the videographer down here to where we're at. So that's what it's always going to come down to. So I'll give you a phrase that most people know. People say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but I'm going to even change that up. It's not even really who you know. The key principle is it's how much value that you've created for someone else. It's going to be ultimately determined on if you've helped and served someone, will ultimately determine if they're willing to help you around something that you care about. So if it's one thing, connect, add value, serve others that are in your network on an every single day basis. If it's one person a day, that's 30 people a day. And if you do that over a course of a year, you've really made some huge deposits and a big impact on people in your network and in your life.
It's been an honor to just actually meet you in person. One of the greatest things about Larry, I remember when I was just starting out and starting to get to the top or get recognized in the company in the top 20, you reached out to me out of the blue through Facebook and just said, if there's anything that I can do to help you, please feel free to share that. I was humbled by that. I was no one at that point, and you really reached out to me, and that made me want to be that kind of leader, that kind of mentor to other people, and one of the reasons why I started this website. Thank you again for being on my website, and I'll look forward to seeing some of the things you're working on.
Awesome. And if someone wants, they can either go to LarryBinet.com or they can go to freegiftsfromlarry.com. And we'll provide you some very valuable resources to make it a lot easier for you to connect with anyone. And I'll teach some secrets on how I connected with Richard Branson or Larry King or President Clinton and anyone else, and how they can model that to have as much success as you and others have had as well.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll see you guys next time.